to Christ Church. My name is Allison. I'm one of the pastors on staff here. We're so glad that you have decided to join us today. Whether you're here in the room or you're joining us online, we're so glad to have you a part of our community. And if you've been with us for the last couple of weeks, every week we're taking the opportunity to pray for another local church. And you might be here and go, why on earth would you do that? And it's because we're all running in the same direction, trying to do the same things, which is point people towards Jesus. And so if there are local churches that believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, then we want to partner with them and go, you know what? It takes all of us. It takes your church, it takes our church to fulfill the role in the mission in Camden County, so let's do it together. And so this week I have the incredible privilege to pray for Southeast Community Church. And so I'm wearing their shirt today, and this is, yeah, you can clap for them, sure. Here's why this one in particular is so special to me is because it's the church that raised me. It's actually the church that I grew up in. It was the church that I was baptized in. It was the church that invested so much in me as a teenager. And as I grew up and went off to college, they stayed in touch with me. They continued to support me. I'd come home from college and go back and visit. And then as an adult, after I graduated college, I went off and did an internship at a church and learned how to pastor. And they actually continued to financially support me while I was doing my internship. And I just have so much respect and love for that place and what it invested in me as an individual and my family. And so much of my spiritual foundation is found in Southeast Community Church and Pastor Steve Curtis and just the impact that it made on me. And so it's such an honor today to be able to pray for them and their church, and that God would continue to bless them and just kind of expand their influence a little bit and continue to work together to bring people in our community closer to Jesus and growing in their love for Jesus. And so I would love to pray for them today and ask that blessing on them, and then I would love for you to join me in that, and then we'll continue on in the service. So God, today we ask that you would pour your blessing out on Southeast Community Church. I thank you for who they are in our community. I thank you for the unique role that they play. I thank you for the impact that they made on my life. God, I thank you for the years and years and years of investment, spiritually, relationally, emotionally, that was invested in me as a teenager. And I am who I am today, partly because of the influence of that church. And so I thank you so much for the role that they play in this community and who they are. I thank you for Pastor Steve and his influence and his many years of service to our county. And I thank you for who they are. And so today, Lord, we pray just your blessing out on their people as they meet right now. God, I pray that you'd be in their building, that your spirit would fill that space, Lord, that you would continue to bless them and expand their reach in our community to reach more and more people for you. And so today, Lord, I just thank you so much for them, for their unique role in our community and how they're leading people to come to know you and follow you and make you the Lord of their life. And so again, we just say thanks, and it's in your awesome name that we pray. Amen. So today I come to you as somebody who is very tired. It's been like the craziest week. I bought a house, so I'm a real life adult now. It happens. We moved yesterday, and so all of these people from our church just showed up and carried boxes, and it was incredible. And I still stand by, I don't understand how people live without a church family. I don't understand how people survive without community. I don't understand how people make it. And what was really unique and very cool about this house buying experience was that every single person involved loves our church or is connected to our church. And so it was so neat for me to be able to see people do what they do in their careers and love our church and love Jesus and love me and try to help me be an adult. And so it was just really neat, all the way from the builder to the builder staff to my realtor to our lender, every piece of it were people who love this church and love me and love our community. And so it was really, really neat to see that. And then all of the people who showed up yesterday to help me move. And so you need to know, though, that I cannot find the box where my contact lenses are. And so you have glasses, Allison, today because I can't see without them, and I have no idea which box they're in. So the glare is fierce, but we're going to do this thing today. And so it's just been a really incredible week. And I'm really glad to be here, though, and I'm really excited about being an adult and owning something. It's really, really neat. And so today we are continuing in our series on Proverbs. And this book of the Bible, I have to tell you, is really hard to teach from. It's not like a typical book of the Bible where there's a story or a section or a passage that you can just pull from and go, okay, we're going to expand on this, and we're going to explain this part of the story, and here's what you can learn from, this character. It's actually what I would like to describe more like a fortune cookie. So if you've ever been to a Japanese restaurant or a Chinese restaurant, at the end of the meal, they come out with the bill, and attached is a bunch of fortune cookies for the whole table, right? And so I don't know if you're like my family and my group of friends, but anytime we do this, we sit around the table and everybody takes a turn rattling off their fortune cookie. And so that's what Proverbs feels like to me, okay? Where you open it up and it's this little line about something that's filled with wisdom. Like the early bird catches the worm, little funny things like that, little quirky sayings. And some of them, you read them and you're like, okay, I got that. That'll preach. I get what you're saying. Other ones I read and I'm like, what in the world did that mean? Like, did that get translated into English properly? Because I don't know what that means. Read it back to me again, and I have to hear it a couple of times. That's how I feel about Proverbs, okay? It's like somebody with ADD just spit out, like rapid fire, here's a bunch of really wise thoughts. And so you kind of have to pull it apart. And so what we did with Proverbs is we as a teaching team kind of got together and went, okay, where do we find common themes? Where are things repeated where we can pull that and pull this and pull that and go, okay, Solomon, the guy who wrote this, he's trying to get us to understand this. And so the whole book of the Bible is all about wisdom and gaining wisdom. And so what I want to do for you real quick is I want to read you some of my favorite Proverbs that are really ridiculous. And some of them are in different translations of the Bible, so just hold tight. But I think they're funny. I hope you think that they're funny. But I'm a pretty easy laugh, so you're just going to like this. Okay, first one, Proverbs 11. It says, like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion. Like, that's straight out of a fortune cookie. It's got to be. The second one, any story sounds true until someone tells the other side and sets the record straight. I'm like, I got to write that down. Like, that's gold. Proverbs 15, a bowl of vegetables with someone you love is better than steak with someone you hate. Like, come on, these are great. This one you're going to love, men. Proverbs 21, you're better off living in the corner of an attic than downstairs in the house of a cranky woman you can never please. I promise this is in the Bible, I promise. And this is my all-time favorite. If you're a kid, cover your ears. A horse needs a whip and a donkey needs a bridle, but a jackass needs a kick in the butt. Like, these are great. And I'm going to start a fortune cookie company, and it's going to be all Proverbs. It's going to be great. But it's not your typical book of the Bible, okay? It's not where you just read a passage and you're like, here it is. This is what we're going to teach on today. And so like I said, we tried to gather up some themes of like what stands out when you read the whole thing. And even when I was preparing this message, I read through the entire book of Proverbs like 10 times, and I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what to talk about. And then I kept reading and kept reading and kept reading. And things just started pulling out, and you can start to see these themes. And so when you're reading the Bible and when you're reading Proverbs, like, that's the move. You just keep reading until you understand it, because sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so we drew some themes out. The entire book of Proverbs is filled with wisdom, okay? Most of them are in funny little sentences, little sayings. Like I said, that sometimes forces you to reread it again and again until you understand it. But basically, here's what's presented throughout the entire book of Proverbs is that you have two options. You have two paths that you can go down in life. You can go down the path of wisdom, or you can go down the path of what the Bible calls folly, which is where like hard times and trouble and unwise decisions, things like that happen. And basically you have those two choices. God is not a puppet master. He's not up in heaven going, here's exactly what you should do today, and completely directing your every move and every step. He gives you that option to go, you can go this way, or you can go that way. You can go left, or you can go right. You can be a gator, or you can be a dog, but you can't be both. Like, there's no way. And I will let you decide which one is wise and which one is folly. You can't do both. We believe that this is God's world. He made everything in it. He created you, he created me, he created everything you see, everything you experience. Like, this is God's world, and we live in it. And so the kind of working definition that we have been using every week in how to explain what wisdom actually is that we say it this way: wisdom is knowing how to live skillfully in the world that God created. And so it starts with that. Like, you have to believe first that God created the world. Like, that's where it starts. And so if you're somebody who you're like, I don't know about that yet, then just kind of lean in and just listen and go, is there anything in here that she's saying that might possibly be true or helpful to my life? Because we're basing this on the fact that we believe that God created everything. He created you, me, everything you see, everything you experience. Like, it's his world, and we're trying to learn how to live skillfully in it. If you were here last week, Dan, our student pastor, man, he just crushed it, talking about the power of our words, and that you basically have two paths when it comes to your words. You have the ability to build up, or you have the ability to tear down. And if you missed it, you really need to go back and listen to it, because I think it was one of the best ones that he's given here at our church, just kind of explaining what it means to use your words to seek wisdom, or use your words to seek folly, to use your words to build somebody up or to completely tear them apart, that you have that option. And so he did such a good job. Another theme emerged, and one that I think is one of the most important decisions that we make in our lives, and what we're going to land on today is our relationships. It's the people that we choose to surround ourselves with. I talked about this a little bit during the family series, especially when it comes to parenting, and how I kind of wrap my circle around me of people who I think are wise in order to influence me as a parent. And what we're going to do today is kind of take it a whole nother step further and go, okay, what does it look like for our inner circle to be people who are wise? You're going to be somebody who has all kinds of influences in your life, all kinds of acquaintances, all levels of friendships. Like there's different degrees of friendship. There's some that are social, there's some that are emotional, there's some that are deep and meaningful, there's some that just show up when things are happening that are important. Like you have all degrees of friendship. But what we're going to land on today is, what does your inner circle look like? Like your people, not just your friends, not just your acquaintances, but your people, the people who are the closest to you, the ones that you have invited in to be the closest people to you. What does it look like if those people are wise people? And what does it look like if those people are foolish people? And so the book of Proverbs kind of walks us through different types of friendships. Some you need to run towards, and some you need to completely run away from. Because here's the thing, we were created to be in community. Like that's how God wired us. That's how he made us. You weren't designed to live life alone. You were designed to live in community. It is by God's design that we are meant to share life with other people. But without a doubt, and I believe with my whole heart, that if you show me your friends, I will show you your future. Like your friends and the people that you let in closest to you have the ability to completely shape and steer your life. They have the ability to change who you are. They have the potential to absolutely steer the direction that you go in, steer how you see the world, how you interact in this world, how you handle really good times, how you handle really bad times. They have the ability to steer how you handle stress, how you handle the failures in your life, how you handle the victories in your life, and whether you stay humble or get arrogant. Like your people matter, and they matter big time. I want to show you this incredible video that was circulating on social media a few weeks ago, and it was during the Women's College World Series. Like, I'm a big softball fan. I love the College World Series. I watched like every game I could, and this video was circulating, and it was a post-game interview with like the stars of their team, and the reporters asking them, how do you stay positive? Like, there's so much pressure, there's so much going on around you. How do you stay positive? Because this team in particular was on a 53-game winning streak, had not lost a game in 53 games, were ranked #1 in the country like the entire season, like just an incredible team. And how they handle the pressure and how they deal with the things that life throw at them was incredible. And these are like 21-year-olds who just have an incredible perspective on what it looks like to handle life. And so check this out.
ESPN, for the players, I know you talked about keeping the joy of the game, but I'm curious, it's a long season, right? And you guys have had the target on your back the entire time, the win streak being #1. How do you handle the unique pressure that comes with that? How do you keep the joy for so long when anxiety seems like a thing that could very easily set in?
Well, the only way that you can have a joy that doesn't fade away is from the Lord. And any other type of joy is actually happiness that comes from circumstances and outcomes. I think Coach has said this before, but joy from the Lord is really the only thing that can keep you motivated, just in a good mindset, no matter the outcomes. Thankfully, we've had a lot of success this year, but if it was the other way around, joy from the Lord is the only thing that can keep you embracing those memories, moments, friendships, and all of that. So that's really the only answer to that, because there's no other way that softball can bring you that, because of how much failure comes in it and just how much of a roller coaster the game can be.
1,000% agree with Grace Lyons. I went through that my freshman year. I was so happy to win the college. I've talked about this before, but I was just so happy that we won the College World Series, but I didn't feel joy. I didn't know what to do the next day. I didn't know what to do for that following week. I didn't feel filled, and I had to find Christ in that. And I think that is what makes our team so strong, is that we're not afraid to lose, because if it's not the end of the world if we do lose. Yes, obviously we've worked our butts off to be here and we want to win, but it's not the end of the world because our life is in Christ, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think a huge thing that we've really just latched onto is eyes up. And you guys see us doing this and pointing up, but we're really like fixing our eyes on Christ. And that's something where, like they were saying, you can't find a fulfillment in an outcome, whether it's good or bad. And I think that's why we're so steady in what we do, and our love for each other and our love for the game, because we know this game is giving us the opportunity to glorify God. Mm-hmm. And I just think once we figured that out and that was our purpose and everyone was all in with that, it's really changed so much for us. And I mean, I know myself, I've seen so much of a growth in myself with once I turned to Jesus and I realized how he had changed my outlook on life, not just softball, but understanding how much I have to live for, and that's living to exemplify the kingdom. And I think that brings so much freedom. And I'm sure everyone's story is similar, but we all have those great testimonies that have really shown how awesome it is to play for something bigger. And I think that's just what brings me so much joy. And no matter the outcome, whether we get a trophy in the end or not, this isn't our home. And I think that's what's amazing about it is we have so much more. We have an eternity of joy with our Father, and I'm so excited about that. And yes, I live in the moment, but I know this isn't my home, and no matter what, my sisters in Christ will be there with me in the end when we're with our King. So,
Patty, you've got to keep...
Here's why I think that that's so significant, because that's not the attitude of one person, that's the attitude of a collective group of people. All going, we're running the same direction and we're chasing after the same thing. And so who you surround yourself with is everything. I mean, can you imagine the perspective of those players if it wasn't a collective group of people going, we're all running the same direction and we're all trying to chase Jesus? And here's the thing, we live in a time right now where it is easier to be connected to people than it has ever been. Everyone has a phone, everyone has social media, everyone has the ability to be connected to other people, yet still somehow we live in some of the loneliest of times. When you think about people, when you think about things that people are going through, we live in some of the loneliest of times where people are incredibly lonely, sitting with a phone right in front of their face. The ability to connect, but the inability to really connect. It's such an interesting thing. There's a guy by the name of Scott Galloway. He's an NYU professor, and he runs a podcast called Pivot, and he puts it this way: we are online much more than previous generations, and in a way, we're part of a huge experiment. It's led to huge technological advancement, but also loneliness. The rules of human nature still apply. We are a tribal species that thrives when surrounded by loved ones. He goes on to say in his research that 1 in 7 men and 1 in 10 women in the United States don't have a single friend. Not one. And these are national statistics. And then I sit back and I wonder, what would the statistics look like if we didn't just research whether or not you have a friend, but whether or not you have a good friend, whether or not you have the right friends, whether or not you have people surrounding you and encouraging you that are people that have your best interest in mind, not just warm bodies, not just people that you go, yep, that's a friend, but people who are rooting for you and cheering for you and want what's best for you and encourage you and build you up and don't talk about you in rooms that you're not in. What if we had those kinds of friends? What would it look like? So throughout this entire series, we're laying out for you that you have 2 paths, and it's up to you which one you choose, and this one is no different. It comes from Proverbs chapter 13:20, and you've heard this before if you've been around our church, but the one who walks with the wise will become wise, but a companion of fools will suffer harm. I mean, the paths are obvious. This is not rocket science. This is not deep theology. I didn't have to go read a bunch of commentaries and Greek to figure out what this means. Path number 1, walk with the wise, and you'll become wise. Path number 2, hang with fools, and you will suffer harm. Your life will suffer harm. Your family will suffer harm. The people that you have in your inner circle, if they are foolish people or if they make foolish decisions, you will suffer harm. It will rub off on you and you will suffer harm, and there will be consequences of those decisions. So that's the end. We could all go home. It's that simple. It's incredibly obvious here. And so the question is where is the question in this? If you are given the option to become more wise or to suffer harm in your life, who in their right mind is going to go, you know what, today I'd like to suffer some harm. I'm gonna surround myself with some fools, and we're gonna go out and do some foolish things, and we're gonna get some harm, and it's gonna be great. Nobody wants that for themselves. It reminds me a lot of my daughter. We live really close to the church, both in the old house and the new house. I don't think you can get much closer. And she always asks me, almost every time we get in the car, Mom, do I have to buckle up? And I'm like, yes, of course you do. And she goes, but Mom, it's so close. I'm like, but babe, no one plans to get in a wreck, ever. Nobody ever intends and sets out on their morning and goes, you know what, let's wreck our car today. Let's do it. Nobody. And so to me, this is the same thing. Nobody chooses, generally, maybe some teenagers, nobody generally chooses harm in their life. Nobody wants it, nobody desires it, nobody seeks it. But for some reason, we invite people into our world who make foolish decisions and do foolish things, and then we're surprised when we experience harm from those things. And so today I want to just dive in and go, okay, what does friendship look like then? What do relationships look like? And so the book of Proverbs walks us through 4 types of friendships. There's 2 to look for and kind of run towards and go, those are the people I want to be like. And then there's 2 that are like, these are the ones I need to look out for and ones that I need to run away from. And so do you want the good news or the bad news first? Good, great, because that's what we were doing anyway. We're doing the good first. Here's the first one, okay? It's found in Proverbs 17:17, and it says this: a friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need. So in order to walk with the wise, we're looking for friends who are loyal. We're looking for friends who are loyal, okay? The friends we're looking for here are the ones who show up for you when things are really bad, when life is hard. These are the people who come in and they sit in that hardness with you. When the days are dark, they shine as much light into your world as they can. When you've messed up, they show up. When you've embarrassed yourself, they still stand with you. When you're at your very worst, these people stick around. They show up at hospitals and funerals and births and courthouses, and they pick you up and they say, you know what? Keep going. You can do this. You're made for this. You've got this, and I'm going to walk through it with you. Keep going. Friends that are like family, man, those are your people. Those are the people that you lean into. Those are the people that you invite into more. Those are the people that are going to stick with you no matter what. Those are your people. People who are loyal. And so if you want to walk with the wise, you've got to have people in your world who are loyal to you, who aren't going to talk about you in rooms that you're not in, who aren't going to bash you to other people. Like, these are people who are on your side. They want what's best for you. They have your best interest in mind. And no matter what life brings to you, they're right next to you, walking through it with you. Loyalty is so hard to come by in our world. So if you have people in your inner circle who are people who are loyal, you better hold on tight and invest in those relationships, because loyalty, there's no price tag you can put on loyalty. There is no price tag that you can put on that, and there is no end to how much blessing comes to your life when you have loyal friends that you can count on to show up for you no matter what. It's not based on circumstances. It's not based on who you are or what you've done or the silly decisions that you've made lately. They're just going to show up and they're going to walk through it with you. On the dark days, on the hard days, on the good days, they're the people standing right next to you, man. Those are your people. Those are your people. A friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need. You need people who are going to show up in your time of need and walk with you. That's the first one. The second one, okay, this is the bad news. We're going to go to bad news next, okay? Proverbs 18:24. There are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. There are friends who destroy each other. So in order to stay away from fools, you got to be on the lookout for number 2, which is dangerous friends. Friends who are dangerous. These are the people in your inner circle who do not have your best interest in mind or at heart. They don't want you to win. They don't have any problem destroying you with their gossip, with their jealousy, with maybe their own insecurities. These are the people who will cause harm in your life. And here's the thing, like, we generally know who these people are. Like, you know in your circle of friends who you can trust and who is dangerous, either with the influence that they bring into your world or with their words or how they speak about you in rooms that you're not in. You know in your group of friends the people who are dangerous to you, who could potentially cause harm to you. And so then the question becomes, why do you keep dangerous friends in your circle? Why do you allow dangerous people who do not want you to win, who do not want you to be successful, who do not celebrate you, who do not celebrate the things that are happening in your life, why do you allow them to stay in your inner circle? Is it loneliness? Is it having them there is better than having no one? Is it social status? Does being seen with them raise your value and your stock somehow? I've seen Mean Girls. I know the movie. Like, I know how it works. Is that what helps you feel better about yourself? Because why do you allow dangerous people to stay in your world? Is it your own insecurity? What is it? Because it has to be something. Because again, no one wants to invite harm into their life, and yet we allow dangerous people to stay in our inner circle and influence who we are and the decisions that we make and how we see the world, and it will cause harm. And so why? Why do you allow dangerous people? Why do we allow ourselves to keep chasing dangerous friends when it can cost us everything? When it can cost you everything. It could cost you your marriage. It can cost you other healthy friendships. It can cost you a relationship with your kids. It can cost you your relationship with Jesus. You get dangerous friends in your circle, people who don't care about coming to church, people who only care about making like little short-term quick decisions. And man, I promise you, it will cause harm in your world. So that's number 2, dangerous friends. Number 3, Proverbs 19:4, riches add many friends, but a poor man is separated from his friends. Now this one I had to read a few times, and here's kind of what I drew out of this. Number 3, in order to stay away from fools, you got to be on the lookout for opportunistic friends. People who want something from you. They don't really want you, they don't really want to know you, but you have something that they want or they need, and so they're going to try to get close to you because they can gain something from being close to you. These are the people in your circle who have motives. These are the people in your circle who have motives for wanting to be near you, and those motives aren't always positive. When you have something that others want, they will find their way to be near you and to be near the things that you have. Maybe it's money, maybe it's social status or influence that you may have or connections that you have, or maybe you have a great beach house or a fancy boat that they want to ride on. Like whatever it is, it's something that you have that they want to be closer to. And if they can get close, it's opportunity for themselves. They don't necessarily want you, they want what you have to offer. And for me, this is like one of the most insulting ones. I'd rather you be mean to me. I'd rather you talk about me behind my back. Like I'd rather you do all of those things than use me for what I can give you. This one to me is incredibly, incredibly insulting. It's insulting to who you are as a person. It's insulting to what you actually have to offer. And so this one's really hard for me. I think this one's really tough, to have people in your circle who only want to be around you because of what you have to offer them or how you can give something to them. And here's the thing, the more you grow in influence, the more you grow in stature, the more you grow in resources, the more people are going to try to be near you. Take a look at people who win the lottery. Friends come out of the woodwork. Family comes out of the woodwork because maybe if they're close to you, you'll give them $1 billion. And that's just not how it works. And so that's the way it works. The more you have things and resources and opportunity, the more people want to be near you. The last one, faithful are the words of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. This is found in Proverbs chapter 27:6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. And this one I had to reread a couple of times. I'm like, what are we really talking about here? And what I think is in order to walk with the wise, we're looking for friends who are honest. We're looking for friends who are honest. Sometimes friends who really love you have things to say to you that you may not necessarily want to hear. Things that might call you up and call you out and actually challenge you to be better people. And sometimes that hurts. And sometimes it causes wounds. But when these are your people saying them, not your acquaintances, not casual friends, but your people, your inner circle of people, when they are saying things to you with your best interest in mind, you have to hear them. You have to hear them, and you have to be willing to become a better person and be more wise. If you want to become wise, that's the thing. You have to have a desire in your heart to be someone who is growing in wisdom. You have to want the people in your life who will call you up and call you out when you need it. Man, those people are so valuable. These are the people who have the courage to say something to you that just might make you better. The people who might say to you, hey, keep your feet on the ground, like your pride is just growing. People who say to you, like, hey, you're headed in the wrong direction. People who say to you, like, hey, this is not great for your marriage, or this is not great for your kids and your family. The decisions that you're making at work, they're not wise. Like, these are the people who see you and know you and hear you and look at you and go, you're headed for danger. And I'm going to love you enough and be courageous enough to say something to you because I have that much love in my heart for you. Man, honest friends, whew, there's no price tag you can put on honest friends that have your best interest in mind. See, not everybody gets the right to just tell you what they think of you. You got to earn that. But the ones who have earned it, the ones who have earned the right to speak wisdom into your life and say, you know what, I see you and I know you can be better. And they actually call that out in you and encourage you to be someone who is better. It's so invaluable. And then the other side of it, the deceitful part. Deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. Well, the way I see this is like flattery and people who just kind of puff you up. They don't know you. They don't have your best interest in mind. They don't really care about who you are, but they're going to try to win you over with their compliments and their flattery. Deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. What good is it to be flattered by someone who doesn't have your best interest in mind? What good is it for someone just to heap praises on you when they don't even know you? They don't know who you are. They don't know what you really do, yet they're giving you just all these praises. Man, deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. We go back to the two paths again. You can have honest, faithful words from a friend who loves you, or you can have flattery and just blowing you up from someone who doesn't even know you and does not know what's best for you. At the end of the day, friendship is really hard. Relationships are hard. Juggling different personalities, different expectations, different communication styles, different social media platforms and ways to communicate through it, different insecurities, and every single person who enters into a relationship or a friendship with another person carries baggage and pain and hurt from all of the previous friendships and relationships that came before them. And so everybody comes with patterns of behavior that they learned from somewhere else. And so you're bringing all of that into the friendship and the relationship. And that's really hard to manage. But I'm telling you, if you can find friends who will walk with you through life, if you can find friends who show up at hospitals and funerals and courthouses, the hard days, those are your people. Those are your people, and they will make you so much better. It is so worth it. Loving people well and being loved in return is life-giving. It is like breathes air back into your lungs. Your circle, the people who are the closest to you, are life-giving. And so I'm telling you today to risk it. To risk it. It's scary. It makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel very vulnerable. But it is worth it to get out of your comfort zone and meet people. And so you may be here today and you go, you know what, I don't really have those people. Like, I don't really have that circle of people to do this with. And I would tell you today, be brave enough to be the first one to move. You go first. If you enter into every room and you're just waiting for people to come talk to you and come invite you and come include you, like, you're going to have a really hard time. Because every person is entering into the room with that same set of insecurities. And so could you be brave enough to go, you know what, I'm going to move first. I'm going to make the invitation first. I'm going to ask first. I'm going to invite someone out to dinner. I'm going to invite someone for coffee. I'm going to join a serve team so I can get to know people at church. I'm going to show up at a connection group when we launch them again in August because I want to meet people and potentially be friends with people that could be life-changing and life-giving. You have the opportunity to do that, but you have to move first. And so you have to stop looking at the world like you're uninvited and instead be the inviter. And move your feet. And listen, not every invitation is going to go well, okay? I wish it would, but not every invitation is going to go well. Not every invitation is going to be received well. But you have to keep trying until you find the one that works, and there's a real connection there that you then can build off of. Loving people and being loved in return is so worth it. It's so worth it. And so you have two choices today, whether you're a teenager, a single person, a married person, a divorced person, an older person, wherever you find yourself in whatever season of life you find yourself in today, the two paths are yours. Walk with the wise, become wise. Walk with fools, suffer harm. And so today I would just invite you maybe to do a little inventory of your friendships. Maybe like the outer circle of your friends and then the inner circle. The people that you have invited in to be in your inner circle, what kind of people are they? Are they honest? Are they loyal? Are they dangerous? And maybe you need to do some shifting. And listen, by no means am I saying to like cut people out of your life. Like that's never what we talk about here. But you might need a little bit of distance. But you also might be the person who needs to be wise and influence the person who might be dangerous. Like you have that ability to do that. And if you cut them off, you no longer have the ability to influence them. But you have to guard your own heart, and you have to be aware of who you are and where you have faults and where you do need to grow. So today I would invite you maybe again just to do a little inventory on your friendships. Are you surrounded by wise people or are you surrounded by foolish people? Are you super lonely today and you don't have people? Man, there's a couple of things. One, I would invite you to pray, and we'll pray about it in just a second, and ask God to bring those types of people into your world so that you can make those connections. I would encourage you to be courageous enough to do the inviting and do the asking. Join a group, join a serve team. Like there's opportunities for you to meet people, but you have to move your feet. They're not just going to drop into your life. And then I would also encourage you that like there is this incredible way that God fills the gaps in our hearts. He has this incredible way of healing up wounds that are inside of us that we cannot heal on our own. And so you may be here today and you come with a lot of hurt and a lot of baggage from relationships and friendships and people who have hurt you. Man, today I would ask you, like, lay that down and go, God, would you come into the areas of my life where I have brokenness and where I have pain, and would you heal them up in a way that only you can? So that I can be free then to love people in a way that is authentic and true and healthy. Because you want to enter into healthy friendships, the healthiest version of yourself that you can be. And so today, let's get healthy. Let's be healthy people and enter into relationships in a healthy way. And maybe you're here today and you've never made the decision to follow Jesus. And maybe you're struggling through that part. I would just encourage you today, like there's a God in heaven who made you, who has a plan for you, who created you to do life with other people in community. And if today is the day like that you need to talk to somebody or make a decision like that, we would love to talk to you about it. Because there is a better way to live than all by yourself trying to figure this thing out. There's a better way to live with the creator of the universe who knows you and loves you and has a plan for you. And so I would love to pray for that. If you're here and you'd like to talk to somebody, there's always people in the back of the room back there ready and willing to have a conversation with you about a decision. But man, you don't have to go through life alone, and you don't have to hurt. there's actually a better way to experience healing. And so I would love to pray for that. And then these guys are going to lead us through another worship song, and I would encourage you just to lean in and worship this morning. God, thanks so much for who you are. I thank you for how you created us to do life with other people. I thank you for how you wired us to be in community, that we don't have to do life alone, that it was actually by design that you created us to share life with others. And so this morning, I pray for the ones in the room who are struggling, who are lonely, who lack really healthy, wise relationships in their life. God, today, would you just heal them in a way that only you can do? Would you help them to be honest about the areas where they have experienced pain? Would you help them to be honest about the experiences where they may have some brokenness? And God, would you just slip into those cracks of their heart and heal it in a way that, again, only you can, so that they can step out of that and be healthy people entering into other relationships. I pray for those in the room who have not decided to follow you. God, would you help them to understand and know today that there is a better way, that they can try to live this life on their own, figuring it out, or they can walk with the creator of the universe who made everything. And I pray for those in the room who are scared and maybe feel a little vulnerable. God, would you give them the courage to invite other people into relationship? Would you give them the courage to seek out wise and healthy friendships? And God, for those in the room today who are surrounded by maybe some unwise people and some foolish people, Lord, would you give them the courage to maybe put up a little distance and guard their heart a little bit and seek some wisdom in their life so that they can become people who are wise. God, we thank you so much for who you are. Thank you for your word, that you left us this just incredible book of the Bible to show us how to live skillfully in the world that you made. And so this morning we just say thanks and we worship you, and we thank you for who you are. It's in your awesome name we pray. Amen.